We were facing a strike situation like 6 months after I graduated. And I learned very quickly, what it was about. And even though you're in an area where you knew you weren't going to be off the premises, you were going to be designated to stay in and look after the babies, you still had to be out there and to support your coworkers. And it was in the dead of winter, so it was cold. It took a lot of, hard stuff. But I mean, I talked to, mainly my dad, because he was a very strong unionist. And my mom was more worried about, you can't afford it. You just moved out, you can't afford it. I said, Mom, I have to stand up for, this is the right thing to do. So that was my first, getting my feet wet and stuff. And it's just a belief that I've carried through with me all my life. And I've been, active in my union all my life. Seeing, 700 or 800 nurses out on a picket line, to go rally together, or, loading up our cars to drive out to Banff to support the hospital there, because, they needed the numbers, they needed the visibility. Things like that. Survived all the cutbacks in Calgary. I sat on the side of the hill there, watched the Calgary General get blown up. And even though I never worked at the Calgary General, it was something that really, it was painful. It was just painful to watch a building, be subjected to that had given so much to the community. And that whether it was having your babies there, working there as a nurse or a doctor or whatever, family member dying there, it was just it was a death. It was watching a death. And so that was a, memorable thing. And as I say, all the layoffs and everything that we went through in the 90s. And now to see where we're at now with so many vacancies, we lost almost a generation, I think, of nurses during the 90s that, had to go to the States to find work. And now, we could have a cloning factory and we still wouldn't have enough. It's sad, what has happened. The improvements that we've seen in not having to work, horrendous hours, work hours and hours of overtime. You enjoyed that for many years under your collective agreement. Now we have to fight for it again. There's so much overtime. There's constant shortages in staffing. Scheduling is calling you on every day off that you've got and trying to book you weeks in advance for shifts. And you don't know how many more ways to try and tell them no. We've got to teach our young members what the value is. I mean, I was making $6 an hour when I came into nursing. They're coming into nursing now making over $30 an hour. So they don't see a lot of the struggle and the history of where the union came from in the beginning and what we've achieved over the 30 years that this organization has been in place. And that's what we have to make them understand and appreciate and continue the fight for us and for themselves and their ones coming behind them. That's a big role.